Welcome to At the Heart of It, where we talk about life, celebrate creativity, champion entrepreneurship, and get to the heart of the why behind what we do. My guest today is amazing, and I'm super grateful to call her a friend and had some time to spend with her over the last number of years. Jess Moskaluke, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Nice to see and hear you.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a little while. It's been a while. I'm trying to think of like when the last time it was that we hung out. The one notable one was like the MDM Christmas party. That
Christmas party. Yeah.
Probably. But it seems so long ago.
It kind of was now.
Yeah. But so I thought we could start. I'm sure many people listening already know who you are, but I think your story, which you've obviously shared on social media and stuff and in interviews in the past, is awesome. But why don't you kind of start with how you started and how you got to where you are as a CCMA Juno Award winning artist. What has that journey been like for you?
Sure, yeah. So like you mentioned, I am an artist. I grew up in Langenburg, Saskatchewan. My husband and I now call Rocanville, Saskatchewan home, both very small towns. But I'm a country artist. For those of you guys who might not know, I'm a singer-songwriter. And I guess the easiest route to take to telling you about how I got my start in music was I started writing songs and I started putting them up on YouTube along with some cover songs. So this was like 10 plus years ago already, believe it or not. And those videos just started garnering a lot of views and a lot of attention. And I woke up the one day and one of the videos was at like 100 and some thousand views, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then the next one crossed over 1 million, and before I knew it, I had record labels and publishing companies and stuff calling and emailing. And flash forward to 2021, and I'm still with the same record company that contacted me due to the YouTube situation. So since then, we've had the opportunity to put out numerous singles and videos and records, and been lucky enough to win some awards over the years, and put out a ton of songs to radio and play hundreds of shows, and that's kind of how that all went down. That's the Cliff's Notes version of it, though.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. So, I mean, we talked about it really briefly before we hit record. Was you were also a nail tech before.
Yes.
You kind of burst into the music scene. Was music always something that you wanted to be a career? Like, was that the main focus, and was that kind of the dream? And yeah, if so, did you see, looking back, did you ever believe that any of this would have kind of come to fruition? Or
Honestly, like, no to both, which sounds crazy, but when I was in high school, I obviously loved singing and did a bunch of talent competitions and did a little bit of recording here and there just to kind of dip my feet into the music scene. But I hadn't written a ton quite yet. But my mom was always very much like, hey, that's great. I think you're so talented, but we don't know if this is like a viable career option. And, without shooting down my dreams whatsoever, she's like, I think that you should keep chasing it, but I also think you should get an education. So I went to university right out of high school in Brandon, Manitoba at Brandon University, and I thought that I was going to start my career path as a parole probations officer, something in corrections.
really?
Yeah. So of course music kind of took over,
Yeah.
which is then actually, life is such a windy path. I took my nail technician course so that I could sustain myself in the early stages of being a musician.
Right.
So I could, make my own hours and work a lot one week and then none the next week while I was in the studio or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's never something that I thought could be a career. So that answers your next question. Of course, I didn't think it would be a platinum selling Juno award winning career at that. So I've never been more happy to be wrong.
Yeah, no kidding. I find that really interesting because my story with music was very similar in the sense of I obviously was kind of pursuing the hockey thing for a period of time, and then school was always kind of that next step, whether it be on a hockey scholarship or going to university on my own or whatever. But it was after graduating university, starting at heart, like marketing company, just to be in charge of my own schedule while we did songwriting trips and performing and stuff like that. So, and you speak to your mom and how she was trying to, I think my dad was the same way, of trying to like kind of keep you level in the sense of let's be pragmatic and practical and make sure that we're making a decision or a backup plan at least that can kind of sustain moving forward. So how does she, kind of look at your career now and what is that relationship like?
My mom's one of my best friends, so we're good there. And I don't fault her for a second for telling me to go to school. And if I have kids someday, I'll probably, even if they are into music, I would probably tell them to do the same. Actually, I would definitely tell them to do the same after having personally a music career. My mom is so happy. I know that she has had several meetings, more so in the early days than now, with Mike, who obviously the president of MDM Recording / one of my managers. She's had so many meetings with him in the past being like, okay, give it to me straight. Is this going to work? Is she going to make money? And not like, is she going to make millions and be rich? Like, is she going to be able to do this full time and sustain herself the way that she wants? That's always been my goal. Is I want to be able to only have to do music because I love it. That's that's why I wanted to make money, is so that I don't have to have another job that I have to dread in order to go and play a show on the weekend. So my mom's really happy that that's been exactly what my team and I have been able to do. And especially during the pandemic when things were really tough, I was still able to kind of pivot with a lot of help. But we were still able to pivot and still, even though it was definitely harder than it usually is, we were able to still kind of financially uphold ourselves. So
no kidding. Like, you think of the entertainment and hospitality industries as a whole, like it's to talk about a tough couple years,
sports,
and still
everything, healthcare, obviously
still going strong, unfortunately. But you talk about the ability to pivot and be creative, and those tough times putting you in a creative situation. I love the Jess Moskaluke brand in the sense that it's not just music either. Like, it's very much, it's lifestyle. You kind of bring in some of the influencer pieces there. And what I've always admired is you really treat music and your brand as a business. It's not just the art too, right? And I've always said I do enjoy the business side of the music business just as much as the music side. And I feel like you do that really, really well. But I think one thing that's really interesting is it handpicked by Jess, which I think is super fascinating. Can you speak to how that project started and what it's all about?
Yeah, this project started. I guess I should explain what it is first. Handpicked by Jess is a curated box. It's kind of like a mystery box. So it comes out once every other season, so twice a year. We're just about to, we're gearing up to release our fall/winter 2021 box. Consumers do not know what is in the box. They just like blindly trust what I'm selling here. And there's a limited quantity. We have sold out every single time. And we've had to increase our quantities every single time, which is so cool. It's a project that I've wanted to do for a really long time. And, you were talking about brands being more than just music. And early on, I wanted to do that. And I don't think I thought I just had some ADD, which is probably true. But I didn't realize that I wanted to expand my brand early on. I always wanted to incorporate other aspects of lifestyle. And I've always really enjoyed the influencer thing. I only work with companies that I truly believe in. So it's really easy for me to promote those things. And if it's not a fit, I won't promote it. Right. I think that's why I enjoy it. But that being said, Handpicked by Jess is a really awesome and unique way for me to take those companies that I truly believe in and love and get the physical product into my fans' hands. Because what better way to literally sell these products than for people to try it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this idea, kind of like a Jess's favorite things box. I thought maybe I would do it once a year. This was years ago, and we just didn't have the manpower to kind of make it work. And I didn't have the time because I was on the road so much.
Mm-hmm.
So March 2020 rolls around. I was just taken off of the tour that I was on at the time, and obviously due to the pandemic. So I found myself with a lot more time on my hands, and we had recently got a new intern at MDM Recordings. So I thought maybe let's revisit this favorite things box. So Handpicked by Jess was born, and I like immediately talked to Mike at the label, and I was like, this new intern stays. She is full time as of right now. And he did. He hired her full time, and I think we're
Oh,
getting a new
awesome.
intern now. Thank
Yeah.
God, because Olivia is amazing. So Olivia was a huge part of it. Tiffany and Carmen, obviously massive
Yeah.
parts of Handpicked by Jess. And so we had enough manpower. I had enough time. To really start from the ground up at this brand new project. And now the wheels are in motion enough that if and when I do start touring again officially, we should be able to make it work while I'm on the road. So
Yeah.
we lucked out on the timing on that.
No kidding. But also talk about like a cool merch item that could be like a mini handpick by Jess or something where it's like you get a little mystery box and you can
Totally.
yeah, that's
It's been
fantastic.
fun too, because a lot of the items within the box in the past have been, and some that are coming up in the future that I won't chat about just yet, but have been kind of like cross promotional items where
Sure.
I will design an exclusive item with that company to put in the box exclusively. So a lot of times fans are getting items that they can't get anywhere else. And then hopefully falling in love with the brand inside of that box, and then sometimes they get a discount code, so then they can go and get their new favorite item for a little bit cheaper. So it's very much a two-way street. It's beneficial for a three-way street for me, the fans, and the brands involved in the box. So
Yeah.
it's been really fun to be able to promote small business during the pandemic while I'm at it, really.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm also curious, like you've done some collaborations that are more in depth than just, you know, posting a photo on Instagram with many different
Yes.
brands. And I'm curious what that process is like for you when you're getting more involved. And, you know, I think like the glasses line I think is
Yeah.
so cool. And it's like, you know, naming after your dog and clay and like I
Yeah.
think it's like so cool. Like what is that process like for you? Like how do you kind of come up with some of these different ideas and collaborate with the different brands that you work with?
Well, it's different every time, to be completely honest. I really like to treat each brand and approach each company differently, because they're all so unique. So Jimmy Mac Eyewear is the glasses line that you're talking about, and we've done two collections with them. The first collection I did 4 pairs, and we just named them after Nala, Blue, who are my dogs, and then my mom, Rhonda, and my husband, Clay. So
Yeah.
they approached me in the beginning and said, hey, I think this would be a really cool and fun partnership. And from there, what we kind of did was put together mood boards. I went into the store and said, I love this. I don't love this. I think this would be cool. And it was the truest collaboration in the sense that we both just kind of said, I love this and I love this. Let's meet in the middle and put our ideas together and create something awesome. So much so that we did it a second time early this year, or was it late last year? Where we did a Legends collection, which is the same idea, but I named each frame after a country music legend in my mind. So we had
Nice.
the Brants, the Conroys, the Wrights, the Jacksons, um, the Twains, of course. And
Yeah.
so that specifically was a really cool and unique partnership. But then there are other things like Cobia, who is more social media branded. Cobia Beauty is a new and upcoming salon. And product line. So we've been really much, as of right now, especially during the pandemic, working with them to curate things that they want to focus on that might kind of interest me as well. So if they have a new product line that they're carrying, and maybe it's specifically for hair care for blonde hair specifically. It's like, well, great, that works. Let's create something that I like from that line that will help you guys. So honestly, I think the key is to approach each and every brand and company truly individually so that you can just create something unique and awesome that translates for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's so great about what you do is it does come across as truly authentic, because it's not
Thank you.
just posting for the compensation for that post, right? It is truly,
Yes.
I love this. This is fun. Like, this is who I am, but it's also mixed with whoever my collaborator is, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
One thing I find super interesting, and we've sort of touched on it here and there, is how you really approach, music as a business too. And I know for me, when we were kind of getting the ball rolling with Leaving Thomas and everything, like, I got my marketing degree, Annika got her accounting degree, so
Smart.
she dealt with all the stuff that I didn't like the bookkeeping and everything, and I took care of most of the marketing, which was fun. But I'm curious for you, like, how do you approach the industry from the business side? I know you've got a team that you really trust and has been with you from the beginning, which is amazing. And to be able to have that level of trust, I think, especially in this industry, is very, something to be grateful for. So I'm curious from your perspective, how do you kind of balance the creative side of things with the business side of things? Especially when, COVID makes it that much more difficult too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, in terms of the business side of things, I've been fortunate in kind of knowing what I know and knowing what I don't know. So, you talked about accounting. That is not my area of expertise. I'm really organized, and I like to be involved in as much of my career in all facets as I can, and I want to know what's going on. But, kind of as things go and as we cross certain hurdles or certain, situations arise, I might need or find the need to add a new member to my team, whether it's an accountant or someone to help me look after royalties, songwriting royalties and things like that. That's been kind of something that I've learned. It's like, what, this is not something that I'm going to do well. It's just not my area of expertise. Let's hire somebody to take care of this so that I can focus on the other things that I know that I do and can do well. So a lot of times I actually enjoy marketing a lot like yourself. And so a lot of times to me, that is a creative process. I'll sit down in front of my computer and just like brainstorm, and then kind of find the best few ideas that I've got and sit down with my social media strategy team, and we'll hash it out a little bit further. And that's been a lot of fun for me. And I think that making sure that I can treat some of those things with a creative flair is the way that I kind of get through it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I know you are.
If it's not flexing the creative muscle is something that's fun and engaging, it's just like, it just doesn't come out as well. Like, they have finished product
so
as soon as
true.
good. So I am 100% with you.
And I think that if I have a hand in the marketing, you talked about how you appreciate that there's a lot of authenticity coming from my brand. That's really important to me, is that I want to make sure that people know that things are coming from me. Yes, I have a team. Yes, I have oodles of help from them, but everything, especially social media wise, comes from me, and I want it to stay that way for as long as I possibly can. So I think that having a hand in that marketing is actually really important. So that's what's worked for me so far, anyway.
No, that's awesome. I'm curious. This is more of like a tactical question, but from the artist side to the small business side, social media is such a question mark for so many people. And I, have my philosophy around it, and I know everybody kind of has a different take on that. I'm curious what your approach to social media is, and how do you kind of stay on top of it and keep everything relevant and authentic, and kind of how do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm by no means a pro at that, but I know that one thing that really helps me personally, and everybody's so different, is I use a scheduling tool called Later. So I can
Love
sit
it.
down and batch content. I know it's, oh my gosh, it's a game changer. So
Yeah.
I'll sit down and batch some content, whether that's just, taking some cute fall photos outside, or whether it's taking images from a photo shoot, or whatever the case might be, and being able to schedule those well in advance so that even if I am flying, or I've got a really heavy touring week or month or whatever, if I'm writing and just don't want to see socials for a bit, I can still be active, and it can still come from me and not need to come from somebody on my team.
Hmm.
It's also really helped us with a lot of those brand partnerships so that we can see the best time to post in terms of engagement. Or sometimes they might be like, hey, we really want a Halloween post on Halloween, but
Right.
I don't have the time that day for some reason. So it's
Yeah.
like I can schedule it, I can send it to the brand for approval, and I can make sure that it comes out on a specific day at a specific time. That's my like biggest social media secret, is a scheduling tool. But I think the other thing that's important is that social media, as we know, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's changing constantly, so much more than most of us can keep up with.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that giving yourself a little bit of grace and time to learn those things. I know that my approach changes frequently. I'm trying to dig into more video content.
Yeah.
That's been a challenge for me, but we'll get there. Slowly but steady. We're trying to work on Reels and TikTok, but I'm a little bit maybe too old for TikTok. Are we too old for TikTok? I don't know.
I
I'm
don't know.
trying.
I don't know. I get lost in the vortex of TikTok, which I think is
Me too.
the scary thing. Like it is so addicting. It's unbelievable, but it's so
That's maybe why I
fun and
can't make
engaging.
TikToks,
Maybe because you're
because I'm
spending
just
too much time watching
scrolling.
them. I know. I am with you there. Um, I mean, on that note, I'm just curious. Like, what do you find most um, troublesome about creating video content?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I think I just don't know what it is that I want to share. I think that just what feels authentic and
Yeah.
easier for me is that I just want to do photos. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's not really something I've thought about before, but so I'm kind of thinking out loud as we chat. But
Yeah, just a
I
therapy
I
session, a social media
yeah,
therapy session.
this turned into something else. Um, I think that part of the difficulty is that I shoot like 90% of all my content myself. And I think for photos
Hmm.
that's easy because I can look on my watch or whatever and see what my
Right.
camera is seeing. I can set up a tripod and blah blah blah. And that's a little bit more challenging to do when it comes to TikTok and Reels, when you're like trying to do transitions, or like
Yeah.
lip sync to some audio or something. I think it's a combination of shooting everything myself, coming up with and staying on top of trends, and knowing how to utilize those trends so that they apply to my life, my music, my brand.
Right.
And the fourth thing that's challenging is I just don't know enough about it just yet. So hopefully I'll get there. That's
Oh, you
actually,
will.
before we jumped on, that's kind of one thing that I was scrolling through some reels trying to be like, how can I use that sound to promote my single? Or how can
Right.
I use that sound to apply to Handpicked, or whatever the case is? So
Yeah. I think
I
that's
don't know.
fantastic. And also, one more thing on social media. What you mentioned, like you do a lot of it yourself, which I think
Yeah.
any personal brand, any small business, any artist, that's where you have to start. Like it
Yes.
was the same thing. It's like I was up at night editing podcasts or videos or whatever for
Hmm.
LT, and like obviously edit the podcast here. Like it's in the early days, and obviously as you continue to grow, like you're still doing a lot of it yourself. Like, are there any other tips outside of a scheduling platform for like Later, which I use and I love? Um,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you would kind of recommend, or a tip that you would share for somebody kind of starting out trying to do their own socials?
I think just trying things. What's the worst that can happen if your post doesn't get the engagement that you want?
Hmm.
Try something, like something that's so annoying to me, but is a reality that I'll share because it may be helpful. I could post an album graphic. Let's say I have a new album or a new single coming out. I can post the graphic And, you know, the diehard fans and the super fans will always like it. They'll always comment. They'll always share. Great. But if I post a freaking selfie or, you know, some photo that's a little more lifestyle branded, it will almost always get more likes. I don't know why. I think that maybe it just looks a little more authentic because it's coming from me as opposed to something that like is designed by someone on my creative team. I don't know. That's my theory. The point that I'm trying to make with that is that you should just try things, because sometimes the things that you think should work, like big, exciting, brand new album coming out, doesn't always get the engagement that you want and need. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't post it. I think that just trying things to make sure that you figure out what does work is really important. So then you can repurpose those exciting announcements in a way that's going to garner more engagement.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's you never know unless you try. And if it
So
fails,
true.
then what's the worst thing? You might get a little troll comment, and then you just delete it and move on. So.
Exactly. It's so true.
Absolutely. So you mentioned some of the country legends. I myself obviously was scrolling through and creeping your Instagram before we chatted today.
As one does.
As one does. It's called research.
It's research. Look it up.
And you know, one thing that I look back on with you know, my time in Leaving Thomas was some of the pinch me moments of I can't believe that we're here, and you know, we were nominated for a certain award, or you know, we're performing at the songwriters round with you know, Patricia Conroy, or we're in a writing room with Liz Rose, like just some of those things that you're going, man, this is pretty crazy. And I know that you have had many of those. One I think is really unique is singing the national anthem at the MLB All-Star Game, which I think is really cool. But then, you know, when Shania Twain was hosting the CCMAs, obviously you got to meet like an idol. So like, what are some of those big pinch me moments that you just, you know, in the moment are going like, I can't believe this is actually happening?
Yeah. As you were kind of leading into that question, I was running through all those moments in my mind and thinking of, you know, my first number one, my first platinum, my first gold, my first Juno, my first like CCMA, like all of those are pinch me moments. Cheap wine and cigarettes in general is a pinch me moment. I can't believe that I have a song that like most people, at least in the Canadian country scene, know. It sounds egotistical coming out of my mouth, but it just is, you know, and that's definitely a pinch me moment. You mentioned the MLB thing. You mentioned Shania. That's a massive, massive one, is meeting, working, and performing alongside her. And they say don't meet your idols, but if your idol's Shania Twain, go ahead, meet that girl. Yeah. She's amazing. You know, and it's even just not little things, but I mean, little things in comparison, maybe that's not even, I'm not wording this properly, but things like behind the scenes, like signing my first record deal, which is my current record deal still, and building up that team. And there's so many. I genuinely could sit here all day and talk about these pinch me moments, but you know, those are a few of them. There's a lot. I'm so lucky.
Yeah. Well, just also to be able to do what you love for work, and that for your living too, right? I think that's everybody's goal or aspiration, and it's pretty
totally.
Pretty
Actually,
as you,
it is, and to add to that too, one that I didn't mention was like my first trip to Australia, and I can elaborate on that a little bit, because not only did people from Australia want to have me at their festivals and say, hey, yeah, we're going to pay this girl money to come and sing for us. We love her song, whatever it was at radio at the time. Like showing up, walking on stage, having it be my first time in a country with no idea what to expect, and watching them sing every word to every song was like, not only pinch me, but just like, I'm there with my guitar player, Brennan, who's one of my best friends. And I just looked at him and he looked at me, and I was like, I am gonna bawl. Like I had a really hard time, like holding back tears, you know, just thinking like, I'm here sharing my my voice, my songs, and my stories. Like, I've written
Hmm.
these songs. I'm telling these people about my life from literally all the way across the world, and they're telling it back to me. They're saying these words back to me, and like that was a really big pinch me moment that I really can't wait to do again. We were supposed to go
Yeah.
back to Australia this month, but next year maybe.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would say that that was one of the biggest, like probably the most emotional times of any of the performances that I've ever done, was like being able to sing a song that you wrote, and
Hmm.
you it's so personal to you because it's like your baby almost, and then hearing somebody else
Oh
love it
yeah.
so much, or a group of people love it so much that they're able to sing it back to you, it's just like an unbelievable feeling. It's
It's
amazing.
so indescribable. I wish everybody could somehow feel that feeling. Like I wish you could try it on for a day, because it's
Yeah.
just, you really can't explain what that's like. And I've recorded songs that I haven't written. I always just say that the best song wins. If someone sends me a song and it's better than anything I've written,
Hmm.
I'll record it. So but there's nothing quite like living through an experience, writing about it,
Yeah.
recording it, releasing it, and then having someone, it's just there, it's just different.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think what one of my favorite, I don't remember what it was. It may have been the YouTube thing that we did together. I think somebody asked a question
Oh yeah.
of like, what's your favorite song that you ever, or that you wish you wrote. I think that was the way the question was phrased. You were like, cheap wine and cigarettes.
It will always be cheap wine and
Yeah.
cigarettes. I'm not gonna lie.
That's
I wish
so
I could
funny.
take credit for that.
Yeah, I think we all do. It's a killer song,
Yeah.
and you crush
I
it
would
every
say thank
time.
you, but I didn't write it. Thank you on behalf of Carrie and Hillary. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a Carrie Barlow? Is that? Oh man.
Yeah, it was. Carrie Barlow and Hillary Lindsay, they are, I don't think they're actually married, but they're boyfriend and girlfriend. They have babies together. And so that was cool. I got to write with Carrie a couple years ago for the first time. Finally, we've been
Oh
trying
yeah.
for like years and just could not make it line up. And so it was so cool to write with him and be able to be like, hey, thanks for that career song, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I remember like I never ended up writing with him, but it was like even before leaving Thomas, it was my first time going down to Nashville, and I tried to hook up a writing session with him because I listened to some of the songs that he did, like he wrote for the show Nashville. Like I think,
Yeah.
like I Ain't Leaving Without Your Love, I think was his or something. Like there was just so
Okay,
many
yeah.
on that show that he just crushed. He's such a great writer, so I'm not
He's
surprised that.
amazing, and he's so fun in a room too.
Yeah,
He's just a great dude. Would
that
would do it again.
that
Probably. That's a good reminder. I actually
yeah.
probably need to get him on the books again this month.
That's hilarious. So we talking about music. You mentioned that there's new music out. You've got new music that is
Yes.
come out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I released an album. It feels like yesterday, but I just released an album in February. So we are a couple singles. We released a few singles off of that album before the album came out. So we're already like 4 or 5 singles in off of that record. But I've got a new single out at radio right now called Nothing I Don't Love About You that I wrote with my producer Corey Crowder as well as Mark Holman. And man, it's like, I mean, I know I'm biased, but it's a jam. Like, it's a pretty fun song. It's kind of it's unique for me. It's a different style. It's a little more like, I don't know if it's pop rock-ish or something. I don't know. There's like, I don't know. It gives me Maroon 5 vibes maybe
Yeah,
in some way. I
for
don't I don't really
sure.
know how to put my finger on it exactly, but it's different for me, and it's doing pretty well so far, so I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. It's a great tune. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate
That's
it.
awesome. So I typically like to wrap up every episode with some rapid fire. But before
Let's
we
do
do
it.
that, is there any other special announcements or things that are happening, or things you want to share with the world?
I mean, we haven't announced the date for Handpicked just yet, but I will say, it's in, there's a calendar over here in
I
case you
just
guys are
love
wondering
the.
what I'm looking at. I'm like, in a couple weeks, we'll be announcing the date for the new Handpicked box. It's coming out really soon, so stay tuned. You can follow at handpicked.by mac.jess, I think, on Instagram, to make sure that you know about what's going on. And I think at the time that this is going to be live, we will have just announced a new tour. It's a short one, and it's with other MDM artists. So it's going to be a win your way in thing. So if you're in the Ontario area, we're going to be kind of touring all the way up to the CCMAs. So
cool.
It's called the MDM Unplugged Tour, and it's kind of a songwriter style tour, like Barry Bluebird in the round. The only way you can get tickets is to win your way in through your local radio station. There's only a few dates. So yeah, I guess you could head over to my website to see more about that. It's just jessmoskaluke.com.
That's awesome. And I mean, I also kind of forgot, you're talking about leading up to the CCMAs. You're nominated for four awards?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 4
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
I shouldn't say that I forgot about that too, but we were just so passionate about marketing that I forgot about it too. So.
That's so exciting. Well, wishing you the best of luck there. I will not be there this year, which I think it'll be.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's in London again, right? Which I think is one of my
favorite
cities that it's ever been in. So
it's a great little town. I really love it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again in person for sure.
No kidding. Well, and I think everybody talks about like the CCMAs being like a big family reunion, which sounds over dramatic, but it's so true. Like
no, it is really true. Especially this year, I think, because the last year the CCMAs were all live but pre-recorded, just because of the pandemic, of course. And so we weren't even really like. I think I saw who did I see? I think the only other artist I saw was Dallas, and we just from across the room were able to we weren't even allowed to go and give each other a hug, which is the total opposite of every other CCMA I've ever been a part of in 10 years. So I'm really looking forward to something with just a little bit more normalcy.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. And I'm sure you'll be documenting the whole thing on social media so everybody can see it.
I will do my best.
There you go. So rapid fire. I ask the same questions every single time. There's how many do I have? I think there's 8 of them, 9 of them.
Okay.
But I know you're not new to rapid fire, so I'm sure you have.
I know, but you probably know that I'm terrible at it because I feel like I have to explain everything. So I'll do my best.
And you
to
can.
actually do
You
it
can.
rapid
I mean,
fire.
I call it rapid fire, but it's mostly question prompting, and it just makes my job easier because it's the same 9 questions every time. So the first one is, what is one book you feel everyone should read?
From the Ashes by Jessie Thistle. I just read it. It came so heavily recommended. I posted it on my Instagram a little while ago. It's about a Métis man and his struggle with addictions and homelessness and generational trauma. And it's very good, and you should read it.
I have never heard of it, but now...
Oh, read it. Right
intrigued.
now. It's actually so good. Yeah.
Is it
I'll send you a link
nonfiction or
when
is
we're
it
done.
fiction?
It's nonfiction.
Crazy.
It's Jessie wrote it about it. It's honestly, it's autobiographical.
Right.
Really.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
What is it called again?
From the Ashes. I'll send you a link when we're done.
You should. Yes, please. Just drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite song, either of all time or a bop that you're loving right now?
Man, I don't think I've ever been able to answer this question because there's always 27 songs. I guess an artist that I'm really into lately has been Hardy. So honestly, just anything by Hardy or written by Hardy. He's written a few of the latest Blake Shelton tunes, I believe, that are also really, really great. So anything by him is a jam.
Cool. Salty snack or sweets?
Salty snacks. I'm a popcorn fanatic, big time.
Popcorn, just any kind of pop. Do you put like seasoning or anything on it, or is it just straight?
Just normal popcorn, like butter and salt, one or the other. I'm a classic. Exactly.
Perfect. Lazy beach vacation or crazy travel adventure?
I'm a lazy beach vacation person. I mean, there's definitely a place for both, and I've kind of done both, but honestly, with a hectic schedule, a lazy beach vacation makes much more sense for me.
Well, I feel like a tour is a crazy travel adventure. So
100%. Yeah. So you gotta have the
Yeah,
balance
yeah,
there.
and I like that MDM would do those little Mexico getaways
Yes.
where you get to work,
Hmm.
but you also get to hang out at the beach.
In a beautiful environment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
I actually don't think I have a favorite movie, but anytime we like sit down for movie night, Clay's always like, let's watch a war movie or like a thriller or something really actiony. And I'm like, I just want to laugh. I want to
Yeah,
sit down and just turn my brain off and laugh. So anything like Step Brothers or like Anchorman, anything
nice.
like that is good in my mind. Anytime I'm like
Some Will Ferrell.
relaxing and watching TV, Will Ferrell, great, exactly. Yeah, I just want to turn my brain off when I'm watching TV or movies or anything like that. I don't want to think too much because usually like up until the point that I'm sitting on the couch, I'm working from the second I wake up to the second that like I'm done eating dinner. It's like work from like 7 a.m. to like 9 p.m. So
Yeah,
I by that time I'm done. I'm like I don't want to think about what I'm watching.
that's fair. Have you watched Parasite though?
No.
Okay. It was the one. It was the Korean film that won the Oscar, and everybody's like, "What is this
Okay.
movie?" I believe it's still on Amazon Prime. If you subscribe to that, I'm sure Clay would love
And
it
it's good?
if he hasn't seen it. It is the most like plot twisty movie I have seen in a long time,
Ooh.
and but
Okay, I might be
it's
able to
like
make an exception for that.
it's a lot of subtitles because it's Korean, but it is so worth it.
Oh,
And normally I don't
so it's
say.
kind of like reading a book too.
I guess so, kind of, with pictures. It's like a picture book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good one. Favorite local small business, whether in your hometown or what have you.
That one's really hard because A, I have so many, and B, I don't want to give away any of the brands in the next box, and I accidentally might. Um, but there's a lot of awesome ones. For locally hair is a good one. They've got hair extensions and hair accessories. What else? Leah Reese. I mean, lots of these are like fashion and makeup forward and stuff. The ones that aren't that I really want to tell you about, I can't yet. So ask me again in November.
Okay, will do. Um, what is one quote that you live by?
Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway, which I believe is a John Wayne quote.
Cool. That's a cool one.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
love
that's
that
like
one. It's
tattoo
been.
worthy.
Did you know this already?
I
I
didn't.
have a courage tattoo right here. It's upside
Nice.
down. Yeah, actually, we when my dad had multiple sclerosis and passed away when I was 16 years old, and he really loved Western movies, and
Mm,
obviously because of that, John Wayne was one of his favorites, and we kind of just thought, man, how scary that must have been to like be diagnosed with something that you really have no idea what the outcome will be, and it was scary for us as a family and for him as well as an individual and as a father and husband, I'm sure. So we kind of just like always lived by that quote. And then I thought, man, that really translates into like music as well because it's
mm,
scary writing a song and putting yourself out there. It's scary, you know, touring and getting up on stage and not knowing what people are going to think of you and pouring your heart out into everything you do. That's scary, but we love it enough to do it anyway. So it's kind of just been like a thematic quote sort of for my life.
that's fantastic. I love the
Yeah.
story about that, and I know this is a side note. I love that you've done so much work for, kind of MS fundraising and stuff like
Thank
that too,
you.
which is fantastic.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate it.
so who is someone that you would like to thank for helping you get to where you are today, and why?
Oh, there are so many. Obviously, everybody at my MDM family, as well as any agency I've ever worked with. I've
Yeah.
worked with a handful of them, booking agents, and they've all been amazing. Um, my family, my friends, it's not an easy thing to let go of your family member or friend and know that they're not going to make it to every wedding or they're not going to be around for
Mm,
Thanksgiving most of the time and things like that. That's really difficult. And to still feel like they're still a part of that. My family and friends have done a fantastic job at making me feel like I'm still included and invited, whether I'm around or not. So that's a really big one on a personal level. So just pretty much everybody. Thanks, everybody.
that's awesome. And then finally, if there was a piece of advice that you would share with your younger self, what would it be?
Huh. I mean, I think just keep doing what you're doing. I feel like I've always been someone who pours herself into her work, no matter what it is that she does. Um, and yeah, I don't know what that advice would be. I think that you kind of just have to experience it, and I don't know. I don't know what tips it would be. Maybe I just haven't got to the age yet where I've found
Where
that
you
piece
have
of
the
advice to
wisdom
give
to
to
get
myself.
to
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
exactly.
That's so funny. There you go. Well, Jess, it has been such a pleasure catching up. And I thank you so much for your
Yeah, thank you
time
so
and sharing
much.
your story and dropping some social media knowledge. If anybody wants to find your music or check out Handpicked by Jess or anything like that, where's the best place to find you online?
The best place is my website because it's all encompassing. We've got the handpicked site and information on there as it comes. So my website is www.jessmoskaluke.com. You can find all the music and tour dates there as well. Instagram is a close second, just at Jess Moskaluke. It's pretty much all the same information.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jess. Best of luck at the CCMAs. And
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
I
Thanks for
hope it's
having
less
me.
than 2, 3+ years before we get to chat again.
Yeah, no kidding. I hope so too.
Awesome. Thanks so much.